think part of me just died. I grabbed my mug of tea and it was a spider on it. I'm trying to be nice and not kill them, but like that one was really pushing your luck. Everyone, it's Emily Fox. Today's video is going to be my library TBR, library waiting list. I want to remind you, libraries are awesome, and I am using mine exclusively on the app Libby. Highly recommend you do that. You get access to ebooks and audiobooks. Why does it sound like I'm sponsored? I'm definitely not sponsored by my library. I wish I were. But yeah, I just wanted to let you know the books you can look forward to see me read and review in the upcoming days, weeks, months, because some of the books there is a long waiting list. But yeah, just talking about books because why not? Yeah. Let's do this. For anyone that doesn't know, you can have access to more than one library. I'm currently using 2 different ones, so it means I can put more books on my waiting list. For example, if you live somewhere to a bigger city, you can go there, pay a fee, and then have access to the library through, again, the app, so you don't have to go in person. That's what I do. So I can put about 30 books on a waiting list. So let's look at most of them, or most of the ones I haven't talked about yet. So one of the ones that you can look forward to me reading is The Whisper Man by Alex North, which is a murder mystery horror. I think it was in the horror category on the Goodreads Choice Award, so it's part of my challenge because even though it wasn't the #1 nor the #2, I always ask which one do you think I should also add, and that one was the one that was the most recommended. So I am looking forward to reading it because a lot of people were saying that it was good. The reviews even on Goodreads are positive, so fingers crossed I will enjoy that one. Another one that I have been wanting to read for forever because I've heard the name but I know nothing about it, and we're gonna just try and avoid spoilers until I actually get around to reading it. So you little effers, you're better not give me any spoilers in the comment section. I swear sometimes, like, most of you are really good at it, but like sometimes I'll get someone saying something, I'm like, that sounds like a spoiler. Why the hell did you just write this? Not cool. But the book is Flowers in the Attic. I feel like I've heard that name ever since I was a kid. But yeah, I survived all these years without knowing what it is about. I thought it was horror, but maybe I'm wrong. Is it considered a classic? Modern classic? I don't know, but I'll read it soon probably and let you know. You're gonna see a pattern. Some of these I know nothing about them. Some of them it's like I'm looking really forward to reading them. Another one that I do really want to read is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I read The Night Circus by her. Everyone has, I feel like, because of the hype on BookTube, and I liked her writing quite a bit. I was very underwhelmed with the rest of the book, but it was the only book she had ever published. There was a lot of hype and mystery, and she is finally coming out with a new book. I believe this one is also considered an adult fantasy book, and I should be able to get around to reading it soon-ish. So yeah, that's definitely on my library TBR. Another one that I really want to read, and that one is actually part of my Goodreads reading challenge, and it is Will My Cat Eat My Eyeballs, which is a nonfiction about, I think it's about death. So that one was also part of the Goodreads Choice Award. There's a few actually nonfiction that I got from there and put them on my waiting list because I don't tend to buy as many nonfiction. I have one shelf, it's pretty full, but I tend to mostly read some from my library because it's just easier to, like, I don't feel like I have to commit as much. Like if I don't like it, I don't feel bad returning it. And if I buy it, I kind of feel forced that I have to like finish it and everything. So that's one. Another one at this point, it's pretty much a joke, but Wanderers by Chuck Wendig. This is a post-apocalyptic book that came out last year and it's huge. Like I think it's really big. I twice got it from my library. I'm still not done. So this is the third and final time I'm attempting to finish this. I think I was at about 80% last time, so I should be able to finish it this time. I thought I was going to have time to finish it before I did my best and worst post-apocalyptic book, but I guess it's going to be part of part 2 when I get around to it. But the fact that I've had the book, you know, twice for 21 days and didn't finish it is kind of a sign that, I'm a little disappointed. I feel like it's way too long. At the point I was done the last time, things started to be maybe a bit more interesting, but it will depend on the ending. But yeah, I'm overall pretty disappointed. I do have the Assassin Quest by Robin Hobb, which is the third book, and I also actually have the second book, which is probably just a little further, because I do want to continue reading the series. I do have the physical books, but I haven't had a lot of time this year to just sit down and read books, so I've been like relying on audiobooks to at least start the book, and then when I'm hooked, I will find time to finish it, like the physical book. So I do have the Royal Assassin and then the Assassin Quest on my library waiting list just in case. I believe this was actually the number 2 in the horror section on the Goodreads Choice Award, Imaginary Friend by Stefan? I can never know in English. Stefan, right? CHBOSKY? Yeah, all I know is horror, really. It's one of the reasons I use my libraries to get books that are new and that I've seen some hype, but I might not know a lot about them. What do you use your library for? Because me, it's definitely like newer books, especially if I don't know too much. Like it's not something that is a favorite author that's coming out with a new book type of thing, and I'm just like, I don't want to commit to buying the book. Ooh, that one I'm excited for. I believe one of you actually recommended to me, and as soon as I saw the title, I was like, yep, I have to read this book. The First Time Lauren Pailing Died. Come on. Come on. One of my favorite premises is someone dying and reliving the same day or same life over and over again. If there's a movie, TV show, book about the topic, I have probably read it or watched it. And I just need to do a video about this actually. But yes, I will definitely read this. I know nothing else, but I mean, with that title. Even if it's bad, I'll be happy I've read it, just so I can include it in the video whenever I do that video. Speaking of classics I haven't read, well, modern classic, We Have Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. I believe she is a known horror author. I know nothing about this book except, well, I knew the title and the author, but I feel like it's something that everyone has read, but I haven't yet, so looking forward to reading that one and knowing how I feel about it. Oh, the next one, I'm so excited. Okay. Last year, one of the best books that I've read was The Sparrow by Mary Doria Russell. And I read it as a standalone, but technically I believe it's a duology or a trilogy. Duology, I think. And my library didn't have the book, but then magically they did. So I got it, and it is Children of God. And it's such an interesting twist on the first contact with alien premise, which I love, which again, I need to do a video on. And it's religious, but it's not. Long story short, if you haven't seen my best of 2019, yes, it's first contact with alien, and one of the characters that is sent to meet the aliens is a, every time I struggle, a priest, a Jesuit, whatever. And he's struggling with his fate during the book. So this pretty much as religious as it gets. And I have been like not sure wanting to continue because I'm scared it's going to taint my experience with the first book. But I mean, the best way to actually get around to it is using my library since they now have it. Another book that I am looking very much forward to reading is Invisible Women, which I believe is also part of my Goodreads reading challenge. It was part of the nonfiction section. It didn't win, but there were so many books in that section I was really interested in reading. So I'm using my library to get around to reading a lot of them because, again, nonfiction. And this one is, what did they say on the cover? They say data bias in a world designed for men. You know how, like, for example, meds, they don't test them on women because our hormones and cycles and all that stuff are like messing up with the data, and like less medicine would pass if they had to test them on women, which is crazy because we're half the population. Obviously, if you're going to prescribe that med to me, like, I would like it to have been tested on a woman. So that's one of the things. Also, it's something that is common for car crash tests. So usually the dummy that they use are men, and that's because if they use the size of women, for example, there's more injuries and deaths that could be occurred. Basically, they have to like change the what's that word? It just affects the results, and that's why more women are injured or die during actual car crashes. Plus, like, we have boobs. Like, what? So that is kind of messed up because, once again, half the population. So that book is about that topic. I don't know what it is exactly about. Those are just the things that I've read in other books, which I think is fascinating. So I'm very much looking forward to reading that. I don't know why when you film a video, you start saying things that you never say, and you're like, why am I saying this? Another book that is part of my Goodreads reading challenge. We're seeing a pattern here. I put a lot of these books on my waiting lists at the end of December whenever I was starting to plan for my reading for this year, and often the waiting lists are quite long, so I haven't had time to get around to reading those. But since a lot of those books are out of my comfort zone, that's the reason I use my library, right? So that one was part of the best historical fiction on that challenge, and it is the Nickel Boys nonfiction, no, historical fiction. And I think I had The Huntress also on my shelf. So those are the two that I will possibly get around to this year, hopefully. Another book on my list is The Deep, which is about mermaids, which I don't think I've ever read a book about mermaids, and this one is quite short, and a lot of people were mentioning it, and I believe it's also part of the Goodreads Choice Award challenge that I'm doing. So that one should be something that I also get around to very soon. Oh, the next book, okay, no shade, okay, I promise. But you know how some books, they get so much hype by celebrities or like magazines or like articles online, and you're just side-eyeing them because you know there's money somewhere being given, because why is everyone talking about it? And that's kind of, and it's going to be in every book club at the moment. And that's kind of how I feel about this book, which is Such a Fun Age, which I said that knowing nothing about the book, except that I've seen it everywhere, including like Reese Witherspoon in her like book club. It's in there, and like, maybe it's amazing and I'm being a little biatch right now, but yeah, I'm a little skeptical, but because there's so much hype, I just want to read it so I can be like, you know what, it was worth it. Or, you know what, people are being paid. I'm kidding, everyone has different tastes, it's all good. I also have The Dark Forest, which is book 2 in the, I never remember the name of that series, but the first book is The Three-Body Problem, which one of the best books that I've read this year so far. I'm already telling you it's going to be my best of the year, and hopefully the whole series will be. So this is book 2, and it's a first contact with alien. It's very science heavy and it's mind-blowing, and I'm loving it every second, so I obviously want to continue. I did listen to the first one as an audiobook through one challenge I was doing earlier this month, and I kind of want to try to do that with the second one. To be fair, it's a little hard to do it. Like, I have to make sure that I can fully focus on the audiobooks. I can't be doing something else, so it's only like when I'm walking or in the bus or something, but I still want to attempt to continue that way. Worst case, I will read the physical book, but just letting you know, I am currently on the waiting list. They're telling me about 3 weeks, so definitely happening in March. Oh, okay, another one I'm really excited for, even though they're telling me 7 weeks, so it's probably not going to be anytime soon, but Dead to Her by Sarah Pinborough, which she's the same author as Behind Her Eyes, which is a weird-ass thriller with a sci-fi twist to it, which everyone hated. I feel like there was like that whole like hashtag, that ending though, whatever the hashtag was, and people are very divided between hating it or loving it, and I thought it was awesome because I expected, you know, the sci-fi bits in it. Sometimes I feel like I like a book even more because everyone hates it, and it sounds bad out loud like this, but it's kind of how I felt about that one. And when I added actually her newest book, this one came out, I believe in 2020, so it just came out, I realized actually that she does have a couple more books, but I think I'm going to read this one, and if I enjoy that one, I'll read her older stuff, because I've had so luck with reading older stuff by authors, so I'm going to start with the newest stuff, and then if it goes well, I shall continue. But yes, I am looking forward to it, because damn, if it's as good as the other one, I will love the crap out of it. I said, and I think I gave it 4 stars, but it was weird. Like, I was reading it and I was like, this is so not my cup of tea, but then the ending. One more for the reading challenge, so quickly, Over the Top, which it is by one of the guys from, oh my god, what is that show? I keep forgetting the name, but it's so wholesome, that show. So yes, it's a very short nonfiction, I think, about him and his life, but we shall see once I have read it. Ooh, that one sounded intriguing. It is called The Chain, which was it? I think it came out in 2019 or 18. It is a, do you call it horror? Essentially, someone just leaves their kid at the bus stop. The kid is kidnapped. They get a call. The person is saying that they had to kidnap their kid, and if they also go and kidnap someone else's kids, their kid is going to be safe. But if they don't, the kid is going to die. It reminds me of, there was a movie kind of similar to that, but people had to press a button and someone else would die. But they wouldn't know that person, but then the box would be given to someone else that doesn't know them. So, so it reminds me a little bit of that. That's kind of why I want to give it a shot. Plus, this is why I don't film with my Invisaligns usually. The waiting list is 10 weeks. So, and then that's the audiobook, which is usually way shorter than the ebook. So that's another reason I'm intrigued, because if everyone wants to read it, so do I. I have a few more nonfictions that I've been really looking forward to reading. The first one is Why We Sleep, because we don't know why we sleep. I don't know if this dude does now, but isn't it weird that like something we do, hopefully, for a third of our lives, we just don't even know how it works. It's kind of messed up. So yes, I want to know what we know now about it. And then, last but not least, I'm very much looking forward to that one because they did have the ebook, but they recently got the audiobook, so I decided to add it on my waiting list because the waiting list for the ebook was like 6+ months. Like there was like 200 people on that waiting list, and I was like, oh, I'm not reading that book for a while. But because I got it kind of early for the audiobook, I only have to wait 14 weeks. But still, it's free. So we're not complaining, really. This is Going to Hurt, which is, I think it's short stories, like little secret diary of a medical resident. So health stuff, which I've been really enjoying those type of nonfiction. So if you have any recommendations, please feel free to leave them to me down below. This has been kind of quick, I think. So that's like about half to 3/4 of the books that are currently on my TBR for my library. Are there any books in there that you think I should really focus on, try to get around to reading as soon as possible? Because I do tend to pause them. That way I can get them one at a time. Otherwise, I get very much overwhelmed. But yeah, let me know. Any books you are putting on your waiting list because you want to read them and also want to just use your library, let me know in the comment section. Thumbs up, subscribe, and I will be putting more videos on the screen that I recommend you check out. And that's going to be it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.